We have an amazing episode for you today, but first I want to tell you about Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. Whether it's recording new podcast episodes, uploading existing episodes, editing, or more, Anchor gives you everything you need in one place to create your podcast from your computer or your phone and make it sound amazing. And the best part, it's free. Yes, Anchor is completely free. Anchor makes it easy to make money with a podcast without a minimum listenership, and will even distribute your podcast so it can be heard anywhere from Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and more. The podcast process has been so easy because of Anchor, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience right off the bat. I'm recommending Anchor to all of my listeners who are wanting to start a podcast. Be sure to download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started building your own podcast today. My name is Kristen Kubik, and you're listening to As Told Unfiltered, the podcast that dives deep into what it's really like running a business. The raw, the real, and the completely unfiltered. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the 12 Days of Podmas. If you're new here, welcome to the podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest Red Bull in the state of Maryland, Kristen Kubik. Each day, I'm giving you nuggets of golden information about entrepreneurship, mindset, and all-around business. Today's topic is batching. I love batching. It is such a great tool for productivity. It also goes along with day 4 of this series, which was outsourcing. This is another thing I talk a lot about in my signature program, Automation Queen to Sales Machine, and I'm actually really excited to talk about it today. I actually get really excited about talking nerdy stuff sometimes. Whoo, buddy. So let's start at the beginning. What is batching? It's just doing multiples of the same thing at one set time. That's so simple, right? It's legitimately why I love it. For instance, and here's an inside secret, I'm actually batch writing all of the 12 Days of Podmas series. I love batch writing my content. It's such a productive thing to do if you have the ideas. I also love batch recording. But Kristen, I can only write when I'm inspired. Guess what? Me too. I legitimately batch write when I'm inspired. When I have a download, I have a massive download usually. I don't have tiny downloads. I have huge downloads all the time, so I usually batch them all. The key is not to force it. You still want to be in that flow mentality. You still want to make sure your content is great and that it's aligned with you. But can you only batch content? No way. You can legitimately batch almost anything. Content, product photos, editing photos, updating your listings on your website, cleaning your house, doing your laundry, grooming your dog, answering your emails, recording podcast episodes, editing your episodes, scheduling your content, making your graphics. Anything. Do you get it yet? But how do you do it? Now, I go into a lot more detail inside Automation Queen to Sales Machine. But today I'm going to give you some of my favorite tips. Number 1, get rid of your distractions. This is important because you want to be able to concentrate for a certain amount of time, whatever that amount of time is. And what's our biggest distraction as the collective? It's our phones. Silencing your phone is such a huge way of overcoming the distraction of messages, calls, social media, and whatever else that tempts you. Do Not Disturb is personally my best friend when I'm in my office or wherever I'm choosing to work that day. Number 2, use a timer. This sounds weird, but it helps. The goal is to do as much of one thing as you can in a specific amount of time. I like setting a timer for an hour. An hour is really not that long once you think about it. In that hour, I'll pick a task that needs to be done, like writing podcast episodes. And I'll start the timer. At the end of the hour, I'll stop wherever I'm at, finishing the thought, of course, because I'm not an animal. But then I'll take a break, a real break. I'll get up, walk around, take the dogs out, grab something to eat or maybe a bottle of water, and then I'll decide if I want to do it again. The result? So much gets done. And you're being productive rather than just staying busy, which is the real goal here, especially if you're an entrepreneur. We don't have time to just be busy. We have to utilize our time in the wisest way possible. And batching is really such a great way to make sure we're utilizing that time. Do you batch, or are you going to start batching? Let me know on Instagram @KristenUnfiltered. This was a short one today, but sometimes it just doesn't need to be long to be impactful and full of information. So let me know how these tips work out for you. And check out today's show notes on the blog, kristenkubik.com/AsToldUnfiltered. And thank you for listening to another episode of As Told Unfiltered. See you tomorrow for another episode of the 12 Days of Podmas. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I just wanted to let you know that all of the listeners for As Told Unfiltered get a special offer, especially if you listen to the end because you're amazing. $100 off my signature digital course, Automation Queen to Sales Machine, that's going to help you streamline and automate your business so that you can spend less time making more sales. Use code Unfiltered. Go to kristenkubik.com/AsToldUnfiltered for more information. See ya!